All right. Hey, everyone. Welcome to another episode of TubeBuddy's Creators Corner. Oh, it's running again here in my background. um, Apologies. There we go. Yeah, hey, wanted to say hello to everyone here. Dan, how are you doing, my friend?
I'm doing well, Rob. How are you?
I'm doing great. I'm doing great. Thanks for joining me here and hanging out. And really excited to talk about the mistakes people are making on YouTube. I'm pretty sure you've seen probably all of them in your days here on YouTube. But before we get started, Dan, why don't you say hello to everybody out there in TubeBuddy land and who you are, what you do, and where you're based out of right now.
So my name is Dan Currier. I run a YouTube channel called Creator Fundamentals. I try to focus on YouTube tips and also going to be moving into the success mindset and really how to persevere and keep moving forward on YouTube. I'm based in upstate New York just up here trying to help people avoid some of these mistakes that I see so many people run into on a regular basis.
Awesome, Dan. Yeah, really excited. Again, good friend of ours, good friend of TubeBuddy's. By the way, you actually created a new video, which I'll share with you guys on Click Magnet, which is one of our newest features. So I'll click that in the link in the chat, and you guys go check it out. It's a really awesome tutorial. Kind of walks you through everything there, Dan. Before we get with some of the things that people are making, the mistakes people are making, want to just ask the guests here, the live audience, let us know in the chat where you guys are tuning in from. It's always awesome for me to kind of see, all the global, audience that we have here at TubeBuddy. So let us know in the chat where you guys are tuning in from. And also, if you guys have any questions for Dan, by all means, please ask them in the chat. Let's take advantage of this time that we get with Dan. So Dan, a little bit about your channel first. I'll put it up on the screen here, but how long have you been on YouTube and what kind of brought you to YouTube? Like of all the other, platforms out there that you can build content and audiences on, why YouTube?
So I originally started YouTube just like many people do as a viewer. And at one point, I decided when trying to find a video about how to fix something that I couldn't find, that I would make my own video, just with the idea that the next person who ran into this issue would find a video and it'd be able to save them a little bit of time. Kind of caught the bug that way. And then that led me to realize that there were certain things on YouTube that worked better than others. And I wanted to share that information with my fellow creators. One of the things I did was jump into some YouTube communities. And I realized that channel that I had originally created that was called The Average Dan wasn't the right platform. That gave me the idea for Creator Fundamentals, which was a dedicated channel to share the tips and tricks and things that actually are successful on YouTube. Did that in, I believe, June of 2017. So we are heading towards, or we just crossed over the 3-year mark here on Creator Fundamentals.
That's amazing. So awesome. I'm sure, like I said, you've seen a lot of things and, interested in kind of seeing what the mistakes are that you've seen out there. So why don't we just jump into it? And if you guys have any questions, let us know in the chat. If you guys have seen mistakes as well, please add to the conversation in the chat as well. So Dan, take it away. What's the first mistake that you're seeing people make out there?
So I think one of the biggest mistakes people make right off the bat is waiting for perfect conditions to start. I hear from people who talk about going out and buying a wide collection of technology that they think they need to start on YouTube, or they're trying to master their craft. And the reality is we master this process by doing it. So I think the biggest and most important thing out there is to not wait for the conditions to be perfect. They will never be perfect. Just get started, upload a video, and start learning on the job, so to speak.
Yeah, absolutely. So don't wait for perfect conditions. That's really key. I think a lot of people want all the stars to line up and everything like that, and make sure that it's like guaranteed that they're gonna have success. But yeah, just start doing it. Awesome. Very, very useful. If you guys agree with that, let us know in the chat. Awesome, Dan. Next mistake.
So once people do get started, a lot of times you find them searching for shortcuts. They have this idea that YouTube is easy and that there's some magical formula out there that they're going to discover and suddenly be successful on YouTube. The reality is YouTube takes a lot of work and it really is to your advantage to understand that and do your best to be a student and learn as much as possible while you're making content, rather than that perpetual search for that, golden bullet or silver bullet or golden nugget that's going to help you just suddenly become famous and successful, and all of those good things that can come along with YouTube.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. What are some of the shortcuts that you are seeing out there? We see White Noise Studio here saying hashtag or quote unquote 5 hacks to grow fast. These kinds of videos.
Yeah.
What are some of those what are some of those shortcuts that actually are probably I heard this quote before. Someone said, like, there's a quote, I think I saw it on Instagram. It's like, I don't take shortcuts because they take way too long. Like a lot of people kind of end up trying to do shortcuts and actually ends up being, time consumers and stuff. So what are some of those, maybe 1 or 2 shortcuts that you'd share there, Dan?
So I think the biggest one is people have the misperception that they need to get discovered. So one of the shortcuts that they try to take are begging people to share their stuff. So they'll go out and they'll try to, ask other bigger YouTubers to share links to their videos or to promote them or to do shout outs on live streams. And the reality is, for one, that stuff doesn't work. And it just doesn't make any sense to waste your time trying to, again, get that instant fame or success.
Awesome. That's really good. Yeah, sharing, just asking people to share, blatantly sharing your stuff. I would say collaborate, right? Collaborate, Dan. It's like what we're doing today, right? So collaborations are a good way to get your content, your channel out to other people without sort of being just like asking for it, without anything in return. So yeah, do that. That's awesome. Awesome, Dan. What is mistake number 3?
So yeah, another mistake again is the idea that, that immediate success idea, that as soon as you are putting up, a couple videos that you're going to start seeing success, the impatience involved in YouTube. That is really one of the biggest things that people have trouble with, is that they are completely impatient. They don't have a real good idea for what this process looks like and how long it takes. And they just want that success right away.
Yeah, that's awesome. So kind of having unrealistic expectations, I suppose, because your channel, I mean, you're killing it. You're almost at 70,000 subscribers with one of your main channel here. But that's over the course of what, almost 3 years? Over 3 years, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yeah. So yeah,
Yep.
being patient. Was there, looking back then, I'm curious, was there sort of a time when your channel was small, under 5,000 subs? Was there sort of like a turning point where you started seeing that like things started to really pick up for you? Some people say it's like 1,000 subscribers. Some people say 10,000 subscribers. Where was that point for you when it like started to really ramp up?
So I think what usually happens, or what will frequently happen with a channel, is that it's usually one video that kind of changes the complexion of a channel. For me, I was close to, I think I was around 100 videos. And I had put out a video based on some monetization changes that YouTube made. And that video took off. It was a situation where I chose to kind of share the frustration everybody was experiencing and put that video out, kind of meet everybody at that emotional level that they were at. And it really resonated with other YouTubers who were trying to get monetized and had a new hurdle to jump. And that was actually, I think that was around 800 subscribers is where the channel was. From prior to that, it was just very, very slow, gradual increase during, I believe it was about six to 7 months.
6 to 7 months. Yeah. So about 800 subscribers. Yeah. Everyone has a different, some people will have like a breakthrough or breakout video from what I've heard. So yeah, no, that's awesome. Really, really good to know. Awesome. Dan, on the note of comparing yourselves to others, what is that mistake that you were going to share?
So this comes in a couple different forms. One, they see somebody like Casey Neistat or some other big YouTuber insert your own favorite YouTuber here. And they're like, if they can do it, I can do it. It's easy. They're overnight successes. But the reality is you don't see the 10 years that they put in to get where they are. Another way that we compare ourselves to other YouTubers is when we see a channel of a similar size, we will often become jealous or angry or upset when it seems like somebody else who's potentially doing the same amount of work or less work has more results than you. And that can be really frustrating. But the reality is we have no way of seeing where they came from or what kind of audience they had ahead of time or how much time they're spending on their craft. All we see are the videos that are out there. And either one of those is really counterproductive in trying to move forward, because no matter what success anybody else is having, you have the channel that you have to work with, you have the content and where your content is at that given moment, and you have to do your best to not only improve your content, but read the signals that your audience is sending you and find ways to engage with them and give them even more value to continue growing your channel.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's really good. Yeah, just focus on yourself and learn from others, but get inspiration from other channels. I learn a lot from your channel, from all the the people that are in our circle here at TubeBuddy and all their channels. I mean, on a daily basis. So good to learn, but yeah, definitely do not compare. We've got a few more mistakes that Dan's going to share here, but there's a really good question from our good friend Brad Friedman, which actually is a good sort of like little pause on the people of video. So Brad Friedman's asking, hey Dan, where can I buy one of those people of video beanies? So yeah, go ahead.
We're going to get some, I think the beanies are the one thing that I don't have at the moment. We have t-shirts and pins and all these other things. For those of you who don't know, the People of Video from this year was originally going to be in person, and we were going to have merch and everything for people to be able to get at the event, but we went virtual, so I still have a lot of it. The People of Video is the conference that I run every year. Our next conference is going to be in October of 2021. But I'll make sure that we get some of those beanies available.
Awesome. Yeah. I was just going to say, like, for those people, we see Fully Involved Media Group here saying People of Video was the best conference this year. It was an awesome conference. Got to speak at it. Thank you, Dan, for the opportunity to do that. Also, Dr. Elo is saying People of Video is amazing. So excited. Hopefully next October 2021, we'll be able to travel again and everything like that. So for those people, is there anything that they can tune into now, Dan, or anything that they can connect with to kind of get the insights and connect with that community at all? Or
the best bet, since we're still over a year away, the way things worked out with scheduling and making sure we're past all of the restrictions related to the quarantine, there's not a lot out there yet, but peopleofvideo.com they can go to when new information is available. It'll be available there. And also, if you follow me on Creator Fundamentals, I will be sharing content there and keeping everybody updated as we get closer to the event.
Awesome. Sounds good. Great. Awesome. I see some questions coming in. Please send them in. We're going to be asking Dan all of these questions in the chat. So drop them in on Facebook or LinkedIn or YouTube Live, wherever you are. And we'll make sure we get Dan to answer these questions. So I've got a couple more mistakes here that I'd love to just get from you, Dan. So on the note of, this is something that you do really well with trending topics or trending news on YouTube. But there is a mistake with chasing trends off topic. What's your thoughts on that?
Yeah, we always talk about chasing trends, and chasing trends is an excellent way to really explode your channel. The one thing that you want to make sure is, or that you avoid, is chasing a trend that's not quite aligned with the type of content that you want to make. I know of a few stories where people had a really successful attempt to latch on to a trend and grow their channel, but it was slightly off topic. And because it was so successful, it kind of led to them creating 2 or 3 videos on that topic. And at the end, while they grew significantly, they now had this massive influx of new people on their channel interested in a topic that they were not wanting to make in the future. So it created a disconnect. It gave them kind of a challenge to make the kind of content that they wanted to and get the type of response that they needed to grow their channel, because there was those basically 2 very distinct audiences. So you want to make sure if trending topics arise that are related to your the type of content that you're making, go all in, make a series of videos on it, try to latch on to that, but just be wary of the topic itself and make sure it doesn't lead your audience too far off in a direction that you don't want to move.
That's great. Great advice. Yeah, it is tempting. Sometimes you see a topic and it's blowing up. You're like, how do I? But I mean, I know that there's some really awesome ways to, you know, some of our partners, Selma Jaffrey, for example, every now and then she'll try to find a trending topic and somehow connect her core topic to that and kind of ride that wave a bit as well. So that works really well. Oh, go ahead. No, go ahead.
I was going to say, one of the ways that I do that is that anytime that a YouTuber is in the news, I try to pull lessons from that news story in terms of either how we can avoid that as creators or how it may impact us when they've done something wrong, and YouTube is bound to make changes to compensate for it. So you just want to make sure, like, you can still look at those topics, but just make sure the way you cover them is true to your niche and your audience.
Very good. Very good. Very well said. Awesome. Okay. Next mistake is really coming around your why, like your reasons for being here on YouTube. So what's your thoughts on that, Dan?
Yeah, you know, this was kind of a revelation that I had a few years into making content on YouTube. And, you know, I consulted with some other creators and really tried to get a sense of what my next step was. I had some success on YouTube and really understanding why you're actually making, like, why do you have a YouTube channel? What is it that you're hoping to accomplish? Why is it important to you? And what are your long-term goals? I think if you don't really know where you're heading, it's really hard to stay on track because, you know, you could virtually head in any direction. I think understanding that, you know, that why, that core of what it is that's important to you, and why you are making that effort to make content on a regular basis really helps guide all the other decisions that you need to make to be successful.
What is, as far as like your why, I think one of the things too that I've learned, Dan, is like, is money a good why? Like, is making money on YouTube, is that a good why? You know, a lot of people will think that first, like, I want to make money.
I think your why goes a little bit deeper than money. Money can like, for me, I see my why as personal freedom, with the idea that, yes, I enjoy the type of content that I make, but it goes even deeper than that. As much as I enjoy making content, I also enjoy the independence of being a content creator and being able to live life on my terms, on my own schedule, decide what project I want to take on, when I want to take on, you know, or whether I need a break and can simply go, you know, spend time in another way. I think, you know, for me and that personal freedom, I think we all have some level of personal freedom, whether it's time. Hey, I just want to be able to have a job or make money where I can spend time with my kids more, or with my wife or my partner, whatever the case is. And I think just kind of coming down to understanding what that is. Like, what's your perfect world look like? A lot of people can't answer that. It's like, oh, I want a better job. Well, why do you want a better job? What's going to happen if you have the perfect job? What's that going to look like? And how's it going to make your life better?
Yeah. Great answer. Yeah. Sometimes money is not enough, you know, like, yeah, it's just not enough. And sometimes it takes a while to get it, you know, to actually make a profitable, you know, business out of YouTube. And so if that's not going to happen right away, you may actually burn out or give up. So great.
Yeah, there's a lot of miserable rich people. So
that's true. That's very true. Very, very true. Well said, Dan. Yeah, I see Dr. Elo saying passion is my why. Also, Catherine Perry saying on YouTube Live here, mine is helping others, but I also want to help my family and grow my brand. So that's great. Yeah, we'd love to hear what your why is. You know, what's your why here? Creating YouTube on a weekly basis or daily basis. What is that? You know, would love to know. Share with us in the chat. Awesome. And then we've got some questions, and I want to get into the questions, but there's a really good point here that you made, Dan, about taking unnecessary risks. Can you explain that a little bit?
So, and this is going to be different for everybody, but being somebody who basically started YouTube in my late 30s to early 40s, I have a much different perspective when it comes to growing on YouTube. Well, a lot of people Maybe, if they still live with their parents, for example, they can quit their job and try to go full time. But at the end of the day, for me, I had a bunch of responsibilities that have to be the priority, and they still are the priority. As much content as I make on YouTube, YouTube is not my priority. There are a list of things that I have to take care of first. And I think sometimes people get a little bit caught up in the inspiration of being a artist or a creator, and they're like, I'm going to quit my job, I'm going to go for it, and I'm going to go YouTube 150% or full time, whatever cliche you want to throw at it. But the reality is that this process takes time. And I think sometimes people are a little too enamored by the idea of YouTube fame and fortune that they go a little bit too far and they don't approach it in a reasonable, responsible manner. So one of the things that I try to share is basically the concept of, a part-time hustle, a side project to be able to grow a sustainable YouTube channel while also maintaining whatever other responsibilities you have in life, whether that be a full-time career. I still have a full-time career. And I just think that too many people make that mistake, and then they have to backtrack and get a job when they realize they're not making enough money from YouTube. And I think if you, with a little planning on the front side of that, you can avoid that happening to you.
Yeah, very smart. Very smart. Yeah. It really is very important to kind of like pace yourself on YouTube. You could either burn out or give up, if you go kind of too far into the spectrum of either way. So you got to have that balance. Would you say, Dan, like what are the things that kind of help you? Like, what are some of the filters that you put yourself, like decisions that you make on YouTube? Like, what are some of those things like, okay, I can do this video, or I could do this other thing and start a community. What are those things that you kind of like, in your thought pattern? I just kind of want to get inside your head a little bit when you make these decisions.
For me personally, or just
generally? Personally. Yeah, just personally. Yeah.
So for me, one of the things that I decided when I was going to do this, which I'm a very competitive person, so it's very difficult, is that I was going to be kind to myself, and I wasn't going to go, abuse myself when I didn't feel like making content. What I found is if you're not in the mood to make content, and then you try to make it anyway, it shows up on camera. So it's just better, if you're sitting there at 9 o'clock at night trying to make a video, and at 9:30 you find yourself scrolling through Facebook or something else, you're probably not in the right mindset to make content that's going to get the results that you want. So I am completely comfortable most of the time with just saying, okay, you know what, I'll come back at this tomorrow. I don't keep a rigid schedule. I know we talk about having a schedule. I do content weekly, but I don't release on a specific day, and I never have. And one of the reasons that I do that is because I have so many other things going on, a little bit more so before the pandemic hit with, kids functions and all these other things, and work and family obligations, that I need to have a flexible schedule. And I think going in with that mindset and understanding that this is a marathon, it's not a sprint. It's okay if you walk sometimes, as long as you finish and you cross that finish line. So that's just the general way that I approach it. Obviously, you got to have goals and ambitions, and you have to have a destination. So you don't want to give up completely or take too much time off. But just being flexible in that schedule has certainly helped me to move the channel forward.
I love that. Yeah, be flexible in that schedule. That's great. Awesome. Well, Dan, thank you for all sharing all those mistakes. If you guys have any questions about those, let us know. If you have any questions for Dan specifically, let us know. I'm going to start just firing some questions at you, Dan. Is that cool?
Sure.
All right, let's go. So question here from Catherine Perry on YouTube Live. How is it from changing from in-person to virtual last minute?
So I assume this is a conference question?
Yeah, conference question. Probably, people a video there. Yeah.
Yeah, we spent 10 months preparing for the in-person event, and then we pivoted, I think, in 2 months. So it was a challenge. There were actually some things that were a little bit easier and some things that were a little more difficult. I heard horror stories from some other event promoters that lost money, or they had to struggle to get deposits back given the situation. I was very conservative in my approach because this was the first time, and it was at the beginning, I didn't have much of a budget to work with until we had wonderful sponsors come in like TubeBuddy to help make it a possibility. But I approached all of my arrangements with the different venues that I worked with as much flexibility as possible, wanting to make sure that there were no refund policies or things like that were going to cost us, should something unforeseen happen. And it did.
Yeah, yeah, and it did. But I mean, I feel
And
like you pivoted really well into an online version.
one thing
Yeah.
I want to note there is that I also had the fortune. One of the other sponsors was Uscreen, who is an online video
Yes.
platform. So I had a conversation with them, and we were able to pivot the content to their platform, and it just really helped bring everything together.
Yeah, yeah. I saw that. I mean, I saw that firsthand. It worked really well. You had like live streams happening and it was really good. Like, yeah, it was good. Even the networking part, I think, which is important with online stuff, which is why people go to conferences. They want to meet
Right.
other, like-minded people, and
And I
you
wanted to make sure
facilitated.
we didn't lose that part of it. So.
Exactly, exactly. Awesome, awesome. So there you go, Catherine. Hopefully that answers your question. Any follow-up questions, let us know. Question here from Fully Involved Media Group. Dan, how hard is it to operate multiple channels? I know you have a few, and people think it's easy to operate. Any suggestions?
So I do have a couple channels. The reality is my other channel, We Love RV Camping, which used to be The Average Dan, has suffered immensely from based on the effort that I put in on creator fundamentals. So there was, I think last year I put one video out on that channel the entire year. Which surprisingly, it makes almost the same amount of money as creator fundamentals, and it just makes my brain hurt. But the reality is it can be really difficult because there are times when it feels like you can't put enough effort into a single channel in terms of the way the feedback comes back from YouTube. One of the things that I've kind of pulled in as a mantra is that success is not measured by your high points, but how you respond to your low points, and those low points will come. And the best thing that you can do is go to work on those, and it has happened on creator fundamentals, and those are the time where you're just trying to get out content and make the needle move in the right direction on the one channel that the other channel doesn't even make it into the equation. So it is really hard to manage those. You really need a set schedule. If you're full time, perhaps you may be able to schedule them on every different days, but I do personally think it's a challenge to run multiple channels.
Yeah, it definitely is. Definitely is. We have a family vlog channel that, I mean, we're not trying to grow it or anything. It's just something we just want to. It's like our sort of our like photo album and stuff for our family when we go out and do things. But yeah, it's hard, right? It's hard growing one channel as it is, unless you have like editors and stuff like that on hand.
Right.
So yeah, no, very very good answer to that question. There's another good question here from Catherine Perry. When you first started, Dan, how many videos were you uploading each week?
So when I started on Creator Fundamentals, I was doing 3 videos a week. And that was, I'd get home from my full-time job. I wouldn't get onto YouTube until 9 o'clock. I was doing YouTube probably from 9 o'clock till midnight or 1 o'clock, several times a week. And that was I pretty much did that up to 100 videos. So I had an ambitious goal to begin with. And I wanted to have a library of content as quickly as possible. So I chose to do 3 videos a week when I started.
3 videos a week. And how about now? How often are you batch recording? What's your sort of cadence on YouTube?
So right now I'm kind of experimenting because YouTube went through this thing where they kind of took some flack with a bunch of channels or creators burning out. So they came out and they said that the algorithm, doesn't promote frequency, et cetera, and all that. But I'm also not seeing the same reaction on some videos on a weekly basis. So I've been trying to put out content on a more frequent basis to see how it responds. And that test is still ongoing. I've been putting out a video every few days, like 3 days, for the last couple weeks. So, I'll know more at the end, but, there's plenty of channels that grow with 1 video a month or 1 video a week, depending on the type of content and the audience that they've collected. So, it's just a matter of kind of seeing what your audience responds to best.
Yeah, yeah. It's always a moving target, isn't it, Dan? Like how frequent? I know that on the TubeBuddy channel, something that we always play around, like even moving around our live stream time, 9 a.m. or 11 a.m. or,
Right.
different things. So always a moving target. People are very curious about your schedule here, Dan. So what are you doing today? This is from DIY social media channel, which is Betty Trevino. What are you doing today that you wish you could have been doing 3 months ago? Your newest and latest aha moment, if there's any.
Oh, 3 months, huh?
Let's go this year. Like, I don't know, this year, if that's an easier question.
Yeah, I mean, it might be even a little bit longer than that. One of the
Yeah.
things that um, I read a book called "I Will Teach You to Be Rich." That was a really good read for me. It was really eye opening and just a way to kind of approach money. And one of the things that it kind of did is get me to reflect on human nature and the sometimes laziness of human nature, with the idea that anytime that you can automate things like savings and those kind of things in both your personal life and your business, that you kind of just forget about them, and it really allows you to save some of the money that you're making. So on YouTube, for example, I do that, and I now automate moving some of the money out of the account. And I also actually have a separate account for my business. For the first 2 years, I didn't spend a single penny from YouTube on me. And now every time I get a payment, whether it's from affiliates or YouTube or wherever it is, I take out the 30% for taxes, and then I split the difference and I pay myself first. So that's kind of a big change that I've made in trying to enjoy some of the success that this kind of stuff can bring you.
Yeah, that's great. It's a really good answer, I think. I don't think we talk about money and money management and taxes enough. Obviously, everyone is in a different city and stuff, obviously
Right.
on YouTube, so it's hard. But in general, taxes is a huge thing. I know that there's a great lady, Devin Weber, who works for Braille Skateboarding, and she always speaks at like Vid Summit and VidCon and stuff. And this is the kind of content she always talks about, is making sure you protect yourself, from the tax people. So it's a good lesson. It's a hard lesson to learn if you don't do it right, especially when you're starting to make money and seeing success, sponsorship money and stuff like that. But yeah, really good answer there. All right. Damn good reviews. Thoughts on YouTube Shorts coming soon? Are you using those like YouTube Shorts or, YouTube Stories and stuff like that? What do you feel about those?
YouTube Shorts, from my understanding, is basically YouTube's answer to TikTok. I've tried to get into TikTok. What's one of the things that has been on, one of the things that I've been trying to do more this year is kind of outsource some things, because all the ideas that I want to do, I'm just really bad at doing. Sometimes just trying to get videos out, and the idea of making those shorter pieces of content. In a perfect world, I'd be like, every time I make a YouTube video, I would create a short video to promote it. I'd put it out there. I'd throw something on TikTok to let people know. I'd take a little tidbit and put it over on Instagram and Twitter and Facebook and all those things. But I think it's going to have to be something that I outsource, because I'm certainly not good at doing it by myself. But like every feature, I'm going to go in, see how easy it is to use, and play around with it and see what kind of impact it has. I've certainly seen people who use YouTube Stories who get like 400,000 or 500,000 views in a month, and then they get like 15 subscribers from it. So it's got a weird kind of audience attraction, and I haven't really found the ROI on making them versus what you get back from them.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, it's hard. Like we wish you could use all these tools, but time is sometimes very hard to come by these days. So yeah, no, it's a great answer. There's a question here from Ta or Tay. Sorry if I'm not saying your name right. I know we're connected, but she says, I noticed that on your YouTube channel that you give away one free consultation a month. What made you start this? And can you share? Cuts off here. Can you share some lessons learned and commonly asked questions? So I think those are two questions there, but maybe tackle the first part.
So we did a while back. We gave away the free consultations on a monthly basis, and I also do consulting as part of my business. And I think that the reality is that most of the things that people can improve upon are the same. In fact, anybody in the chat could go to a live stream where somebody's doing channel reviews and just listen to anybody else's channel review and apply it to your own channel. The problem is a lot of people who ask for channel reviews, very rarely do they make a list and implement any of the changes that you share with them. And then they still wonder why they can't grow. And it's the action that follows that advice that makes all the difference in the world. And, make a list. You don't have to get them all into your next video or your channel or your thumbnails, but, put it up on the wall, cross them off one at a time, and try to get all those improvements in place and see what it does for your channel.
Yeah, it's great. It's great. Yeah, yeah. Any channel reviews, like I always learn something new. You know, you're like, oh yeah, that's good. That's a good point about banners. Even though it's not my banner, that concept can apply to my banner
Right.
or my thumbnails and things like that. It's awesome. All right, so guys, girls as well, of course. Please send your questions in. All right, we've got a little bit more time here with Dan, and so I want to make sure that we get all of your questions in here. Good. Another question here from Fully Involved Media. Did you have any thoughts prior to finalizing People a Video where you thought it wouldn't be worth the time and effort? And what impact did it make on you after it was a successful first year?
So running my own conference was absolutely the last thing that I would have ever thought about doing. The phrase that kept going through my head every time I had doubts was that success is on the other side of your comfort zone. And it's because everybody feels the same way. I mean, very few people go, hey, I want to organize this massive party and hope people come and hope I have enough money to pay for it and hope nothing gets in the way. That's why there's not a lot of people who go out and start a conference. So I just kept that mindset and just kept moving forward, piece by piece. And, it came together, and then we got thrown a curveball, and luckily we had some good pieces in place to pivot. And, we're very fortunate that everybody had positive things to say about the virtual event.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Heard nothing but good things about it. So, very good. Awesome. Fun was here. How did you have the motivation? This is more for smaller or newer creators. How did you have the motivation to post on YouTube when you didn't have a lot of subscribers? This is probably have to think quite a ways back then before you had a massive audience. But how did you find? How did you find that motivation? What was? I guess it kind of goes back to your why. I would think, Sierra. But your thoughts?
Yeah, and so here's basically what I boiled it down to, and what I try to share with people, which is basically just a summary of everything that I learned in those years. Is that forget about your subscriber count. Pretend you're sharing this information with thousands of people, and focus on making your first 100 videos. Yes. I think that 100 video is because it can be around a year. Maybe it's a little bit more than a year for you, depending on your schedule, but it's something that's completely controllable by you. You can't control how many people subscribe to your channel. No matter how many calls to action, you can't control it. I know a friend who does a fishing channel, AliX Fishing, and he has twice as many, or probably even, 3 times as many views on his channel. But, the audience don't subscribe. They look for an answer and they move on. So the subscriber number is different, but he's absolutely crushing it. So YouTube does a really poor job of making people put too much value on subscriber count. They give out awards for subscriber count. They give you your custom URL for subscriber count. But the reality is subscriber count doesn't matter. Focus on that 100 videos, focus on things you can control, make improvements over time in those 100 videos, and you won't have to worry about how to get your 100 subscribers. That'll take care of itself.
I love that. That's actually one of the advice, Dan. I don't think I've ever told you, but when I started my channel, I always kept hearing you in your videos say just focus on getting just create 100 videos. And that's what I focused on the TubeBuddy milestones. That was the milestone I was chasing. I just want to get to 100 videos on my TubeBuddy milestone. But awesome. Good piece of advice. All right. There is a couple more questions here. Dan, do you delete your own vlogs if they aren't as good as you wanted them to turn out? Do you ever delete videos? Do you unlist videos, Dan? What's your approach there?
No.
Any live streams that you unlist?
So I experimented with unlisting live streams. But no, I don't. Every video that I've ever made on Creator Fundamentals is still out there. So you can scroll back and look at the very one, which I thought was good at the time, but it was not good. And I think that's part of the beauty of YouTube and the concept of that 100 videos is because not only do you improve, but you have that track record. You can go back at any point in time and look at your videos and see where you were and how much you've grown. And I think that's really valuable, and I wouldn't hide that. If anything, it makes you more relatable. You don't want to be this perfect, polished, diamond out there on YouTube and make people think that you just, poofed into existence. And they can go back and they can see the journey and see where you came from. And then it just makes where you are now even more special.
Yeah, that makes so much sense. That makes so much sense. So yeah, but great question, Mark. Thank you so much for sharing that. Awesome, Dan. I appreciate your time, man. I know that you're a busy guy, but I appreciate you jumping in with us here, and for everybody that joined us live. Dan, what's the best way to connect with you? I know you've got your YouTube channel, but what's the best way to connect with you? And also a little parting advice for everybody out there in TubeBuddy land.
So the best way to connect to me, like you said, is on my channel. You can also email me at askdan@creatorfundamentals.com. And a parting piece of advice. I mean, I'm kind of in the in the business of advice, whether it's good advice or bad advice. So yeah, I mean, just focus on the things that you can control. It is YouTube, like you said, it's a constantly moving target. There will be times when you absolutely feel like you're doing everything possible and YouTube is not rewarding you, but that reward comes, in the future. So all that stuff that you're making, all the content that you're making that's building up over time is leading you in a better direction, even though it doesn't feel like it all the time. So just keep moving forward, make your next video, and eventually you'll reach your next high point.
I love that. Awesome. Dan, thank you so much again. Always a good friend of ours. And thank you for hanging out with us and sharing all of this knowledge with everyone. So if you're live, thank you for hanging out with us. Please give Dan some love. Head over to his channel. I've placed the link in the chat, but head over to his channel, Creator Fundamentals, and go subscribe. He's got some great content. And Dan, we'll talk to you very soon.
Thanks for having me, Rob.
All right. Take care.